Hello, everyone. I'm Zelda Kelly, and welcome to this episode 32. That's right, 32, and welcome. That's what I said. To Seeing Crime, and I welcome you, all my Seeing Crime Tarot Lab technicians, because I'm going to tell you, I just love this community and it's growing. And please like and subscribe to get us started because you're not going to want to miss a thing. Today, I want to tell you about something that just literally blew my mind. And I think that many of you have heard about that already. We're going to do a tarot deep dive. But before we get started, on the last video, the Auntie Bev Hot Mic video, episode 31, I was following the lead of many others, and I really thought it was Auntie Bev talking on the hot mic. Many of you reached out and told me that on a Zoom call, you saw that it was Karen Reed speaking to her attorney, David Yannetti. Okay, that's fine. But the reality of it is, the rest of the reading stays the same. Regardless if it was Bev or Karen that had a hot mic moment, that rest of that reading, I am standing still. I am standing on. And so I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. And yes, sometimes information comes through wrong. And yes, I will be the first one to admit it to you if I know that it is incorrect. We'll say it that way. I'm going to start this off by giving you a little proverb. Are you ready? Birds of a feather flock together, so do pigs and swine. Rats and mice have made their choice, and so have I made mine. You've heard that first line, birds of a feather flock together. Well, in this episode, what I'm going to tell you that has blown my mind is this. Supposedly, Brian Albert has gone to work for a private investigator's firm by the name of, I don't know the name, the gentleman's name is Marty Kraft. A not so good, well, I'm going to say, in my opinion now, doesn't have the best of reputations, got his PI license, and now supposedly Brian Albert, Adams, who's out? Brian Albert is also doing some work, but here's the mind-blowing gig. Are you ready? Trooper Proctor is now supposedly, allegedly, joining the team. Birds of a feather flock together. I've also heard and read that some of these people have taken it upon themselves to just kind of keep an eye on Karen Reed. What is she doing? Where is she going? What is happening next? Can you believe the gall? Can you just believe? I mean, hello, walk away. Now, the first thing I also want to say about this is Trooper Proctor. Now, we heard about the Brady letters, minimum of 13 going out to these other attorneys, but I want to share something. You know, it was Lolly's office that sent these Brady letters out on one of their own. And I say that because Proctor was working as a special investigator, the lead investigator on this particular case. Talk about throw you under the bus. That's the point that I want to make. And I want to make another point as we get into this. And it has nothing to do, well, it might have something to do with Proctor. But now these three amigos, these three, whatever, are supposedly, allegedly working together. I don't know about you, but that certainly doesn't make me feel good. That we've got cops that are looked at, still under investigation. And you know, Proctor right now is off on unpaid suspension. Well, you may as well just say he's fired until further notice, but they can't do that legally yet. But let's get back to Lolly's office. The CW sending out these 13 Brady letters on Proctor. I take issue with that, and here's why. I understand that you've got to do the right thing, but it's almost as though Proctor didn't do what he was supposed to do, and they turned on him and kicked him to the curb. I've always said that Proctor, in my opinion, supposedly, allegedly, is not really the sharpest tool in the shed. Look at his investigation. And he was led by the nose by one Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert et al. So he basically said and did what they told him to do. That's why they wanted Proctor. Because Proctor, Patsy, Proctor. Anyway, that's why they wanted him. And now that he didn't do his job correctly the way that they wanted and they didn't get a conviction, Proctor is kicked to the curb. They've put him behind him. But you see, who grabbed him up is the culprit. I still say that Higgy Baby is the key witness because he viewed it all. He saw it all. He saw it all. He saw it. He was involved. He saw it. And you know, there's another old saying, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Let's get started. Today on deck, we have the 2 deck of cards, of course, My House of Zelda, and we have the Thelema LeNormand deck. We may use these, we may not. We're going to see how it goes. And then we've got the Kipper, we've got the mini tarot because, I mean, hello, I run out of space and you see this. And then I have the bicycle hidden. So we're going to start out with this Kipper deck first. We're going to put the mini to the side and these others to the side. I need a bigger room, and that's coming, my darlings. That's coming. More on the manifesting of my home, some twists and turns because we are in Mercury retrograde, and hello, it has been a daily, it's been daily. All right, here we are. We're shuffling the Kipper because I want to make sure, because I've had some people write to me and say, Zelda, you keep putting the same cards out. Well, I can't help it. You see how I lay the cards out. But the reason the same cards come out, hello, it's a matter of deduction because they're all in it together. Did you hear that? A house. There was a house on 34 Fairview. A gift. Didn't Proctor he say that his wife wanted to give, somebody wanted to give Proctor a gift, and he said give it to his wife? The gift that keeps on giving, that's what Proctor is experiencing now, and that is John O'Keefe. Look at him. He looks like John, doesn't he? Community. I'm going to lay out another row, and then we're really going to start getting into this. Marriage. Adjudication. Oh, yeah. Concern. And the family room. That family room continues to come up. I don't know why. Could be that was the room that Higgy Baby went upstairs to see the photos in. We don't know. There were photos somewhere. I think it was the family room. So that is John. There's a gift there. And I'm going to say there was an enticement to go to this private investigator place. Now, this is in my opinion, and I'm going to give you the disclosure right now. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a PI. I'm not a doctor. I'm a card reader. And these are my cards, and they give me a direction and guidance. And my opinion is of my own, and I share it with you because why? You all have opinions that you want to share as well. So that's the deal, my darlings. And I'm going to say, we are allowed to have our opinion, and I want to have our opinion on this, and I want to have yours. But, you know, this whole PI thing, and I believe that Brian Albert grabbed Proctor because of the situation with the house. And, you know, there was a gift situation, and there was a John O'Keefe situation. And from what I understand, there are some Canton community members that are raving upset over what is going on. We all know the CW needs to drop this. However, they are married to this. What does that mean? They are committed to this, and they are committed to taking this case forward. And there is a concern for them, because the longer this goes on, the more concerning that it gets, because now we have Proctor. And can they bring this up with Proctor and Brian why do I want to say Adams? Hello, Brian Albert together? I don't think it's a conflict of interest, if anything. Surely not, but it certainly doesn't look that swell. So I'm going to tell you one more thing that I want to think about. And I thought about this in my meditation before I started this video for you. And do you know how Jennifer McCabe did the Google search at 2:27 a.m. that January 29th of 2022, how long to die in the cold? And then there was another one at 6:24, how long T die in cold, CLD or something like that. Now she said that Karen Reed told her to please Google that. Now, I don't know if she did or not, but that doesn't resonate and make sense because they had already found John by that time. So if you're seeing someone, and I believe that John was still with us on this plane, I believe he was still alive, why would you do a Google search asking how long to die in the cold when he's already been found? Does that make sense? Somebody help me make sense of this. Help me make sense if there is any way that we can, because I don't know. All I know is I know that I don't know enough to know what I need to know, if that makes any sense too. You see how confusing this is. But that has bothered me. And I know why that was Googled, how long to die in the cold at 2:27. It's because, well, if John was still with us, then maybe he could say something that somebody did something to him. And by being out in the cold, they want to know how long it's going to take until the poor man expires. Back to the reading. Just a little food for thought for all of you. So the CW is committed. Proctor is committed. And I'm going to tell you right now, Proctor he's got a vendetta. He is, if he could legally do anything, he literally hates Karen because he lost his livelihood. He lost his livelihood because of his own cake hole. You know what a cake hole is. It's your mouth. You're a pie hole. I prefer pie. But he lost his livelihood for his family and his child or children because he couldn't keep shut and he couldn't be a professional that we depend on. There's a card that turned over. The Ace of Swords. That Ace of Swords is communication. It is an air sign, and it is also, as you know, that ability to cut both ways. That is a benevolent hand coming out, basically saying that the timing is almost right, and we are getting ready to see more come. Now, I'm also going to say more about the Brady letter situation. The Brady letter situation, as I'm dealing out the cards, the Brady letter situation is not a good look. It is not a good thing, as we know, because this is going to dredge up a lot of these other police officers that are already involved in Karen Reed, because they're already involved in these other transactions, these other investigations. And we're going to start seeing communication. And I want to know how many cases are going to be looked at. Many, many, many. Now, why would you want to hire private investigators who have cops? All three of them have been looked at. All three of them do not have good things against them. Complaints, everything else. All three of them have had issues and problems. And at least two of them are still being looked at by the feds. I don't know if you know this or not, but Karen was. She was interviewed several times and looked at and cleared. What we have here, my darlings, I love this, is because in this particular case, Proctor and Albert think that they're still going to be winning, that there's still going to be a new beginning. They still feel that people can be intimidated enough around in that area so they can work it over into their way. The jurors know this. That's why I like this card, because I really resonate this with the jurors, because each one has their own opinion and each one is remaining anonymous. And I still believe there are 7 that we are going to hear from in the end. But I'm going to say they felt that that's why they went to the to the end of the trial and to closing arguments, because they sat right there. You saw them. You saw Brian Albert sitting there and Paul O'Keefe sitting there staring down the jury. Oh my heck. I mean, that scares me, and I'm fearless. I would have felt really intimidated. No wonder they want to remain anonymous. However, they're not, because these people already know who they are. I would be nervous too. That shows here. But I want you to know this particular card, this Wheel of Fortune, a couple little things with this card I'm going to point out for you today. There's a little hidden message in this wheel. You see the T-O-R-A, which is the Torah, which are the books of Moses, which could be considered the Septuagint, which are the first, I think, 3 to 5 books of the Bible that were written by Moses, and that is just another video. But you see, this snake is not good. And this little fellow here is considered to be a collector of souls. You see, this card can take on, even though it's got some good to it, it can also take on some bad. Because as the Wheel of Fortune, yes, of course, sometimes we have not so good times, and sometimes we have really good times, and sometimes we just have in-between times. And this is the guy up here that regulates it. But you see, I want to point something else out here. Do you see these little sweet characters? And yeah, that guy, he's questionable though, isn't he? They all have these little books right there. They all have these little books. Why? Because there ain't nothing we do here on this earth that we get away with, because it is all kept record. It is all written down. And you see, this fellow here has got a sword, and I just said what the swords do. But that's basically what this card is. And this is not a good card. Why? Well, because look at the cards around it. We've got the adjudication there. We've got this card here. This card isn't so bad, but they expect a particular outcome that they can force. And that's what they're saying, and that's what they're thinking of. They're thinking that they're going to go back through the memories, go back through everything else, because I'm going to say this again. Mercury retrograde in a court case like this will drudge things back up again, and will actually, let's see, what's the word I want to use? It will make you remember again, dredge up memories. It will make you remember things that you had forgotten about. That's what Mercury retrograde does. And of course, we have that this is a spiritual battle. And this is also a Taurus card for those of you who want to know what the Hierophant is. But this is telling us that there's no gray area. It's black or white. That's it. There's no in between. You're either on board or you're not. And that's the reality of it is. But I'm going to say this. You see these three? It's amazing that this is beside what I like to say. What I like to say is the jury card, because there were 3 counts, 1, 2, and 3, and they're trying to get the 1 and 3 dismissed, and number 2 they said that they would go forward on. I'm going to say they have picked 1 that they will go forward on. You see, I don't know if you can see, there's ships down there in the bottom, all these little things, but this is a power card. It's a fire element. There's opportunity, open doors, and there is room for lessons to be learned. Do they feel that the judge is going to rule in the favor of the dismissal of the of this 1 and 2? No, the law's not on their side. However, I believe she's going to rule on precedents, and I believe that she may decide to poll the jury, because this is going to have to go to the Massachusetts Supreme Court for an appeal. And that's just the way it is. Either way, it will be appealed. There's a lot that this card can show us. And right now, it's showing us that it just depends. And it's right here beside the jury card, and that's what I think is happening. So, let's grab our bicycle card. Now, Bryan Adams and Michael Proctor, the 2 PIs. You know, unless you have something that you don't want investigated, you hire them. That is this card. You hire them for the show part of it. I'm going to cut these again. That's Jen McCabe. And that right there is Bryan Albert. Oh my, we can't, I mean, we can't make these things up, can we? This is a timing card which came out in the last reading. This card here, now I want you to know something. You think you're frustrated? Based on these cards, because you know that there's no compassion with that group of evil. There's no compassion. They've treated this as though it is a business as, business as usual. This is what needs to be done. This person is delegated to do this. This person is delegated to do that. And who does the delegations? That chick there. But if you think you're frustrated that this is not over, Brian Albert, I almost said it again, didn't I? Brian Albert is even more frustrated than what you could ever possibly be. He wants this over. Why? Because all of this is hanging over his head. He is frustrated. This is dealing with a hurtful situation from the past. This 3 of diamonds is communication, and which shows that right here, the 9 of diamonds and this ace of diamonds is a constant communication. But they're careful because now they know that they're getting looked at. So all of this communication has to be either in person. They're even afraid to talk in their cars. I would be too. This is a total frustration, and it has definitely affected them financially, and this is definitely a card in which they need to be fulfilled. What is fulfilling that it is Karen Reed will be done. This 8 of clubs means that this is a total gamble, and they know it now. So don't feel so bad, because this is the time period that someone starts cracking, that someone, the mere pressure, and who do I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be Higgy Baby. I don't think he can handle this type of thing. He did not tell a lot of truths on the stand, and we know he's got the proffer. That was a different little video. But this is getting more and more serious. You know what? We're going to bring out these big guys. Now, this is the Thelema LeNormand, and it is red. They are red in pairs. You don't read a single card of these. They are red in pairs. This is definitely a mountain to climb. Oh, can we fix this, please? Hello? A definite mountain. A definite mountain. Oh. I don't mean to laugh. I do mean to laugh, but I don't mean to. We know what Brian Albert and Brian Higgins knows. A doggy. And that 10 of hearts is a successful card. It means that, is there a particular success? Yes, he was successful in, here, hold on a minute. I'm going to show you this. He was successful in doing this. You see what I'm doing? Covering that situation up. Certainly so. I know, you guys. Listen, I am just as theatrical in person as I am on these videos. And I know probably some of you are snickering. I'm snickering too. They've come to a complete crossroads. Why? Because this is Miss Karen Reed. And they've done all they could do to throw her completely and unadulteratedly under the bus, and it still ain't happened. That's why they're so frustrated. They thought this little scheme of theirs was going to work. They're looking for it. That 8 of spades is not such a good card, but it's on a good card. And what does this mean? Information, like water, flows. So it's still ongoing. It's still there. Don't anybody get upset because it's taking so long. Now look, I'm going to tell you something. The feds know exactly. They know what happened, and they know who did this. And I know what you're going to say, but Zelda, why don't they just step in? Why don't they do something? Because they need evidence. Why do they need evidence? Because they need to do this the legal and right way. Why? So that when these people get locked up, they can throw away the key. Here we are. Karen. She's a pretty little gal, isn't she? Next 30 days. Wisdom is needed. So within the next 30 days, we are definitely going to hear about Karen and the motion for dismissal. Will this be upsetting to this man, Brian Albert, and also Trooper Proctor? Yes, the answer is yes. Yes and yes. Why? Because they do not, none of them want to get back on the stand again. And I can almost guarantee that they're talking to the CW and talking to Lolly, and they're trying to make this go away, but they don't want it to go away because they know the moment that it goes away, then Karen and her team start doing their thing. And that is exactly what is going to happen. Last words, last confirmation, my friends. Will they're holding on tightly. That's what this card means. They're holding on tightly to information, and basically they're holding on for their lives. But will this PI group, the answer is yes. Will this PI group fall and be in trouble again? And the answer is yes. And you know, that's John Travolta. Hello, John, if you're watching this. That's what people say this little guy looks. That's the yes card, the wish come true. That is the yes that Karen will be okay. That is the yes that during the 30 days, and don't get upset if the judge rules for the CW in this motion to hear, because you know what? There is a lot of intuition. There is a lot of good things that are coming out of this for Karen, and she's got fight. They ain't done yet. She can see, even though she wanted to be blinded. And you know what? We're going to stop right here because this is the card for John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe is a Sagittarius, and this is the Temperance card, which is the zodiac sign for Sagittarius. The balance, the divine figure. He does not want any of this happening to Karen. I know that. I know it. I know it in my heart. And believe me, he is there overlooking things. And Karen knows that too. So does that blow your mind that Brian Albert and Trooper Proctor are now working together? Birds of a feather flock together, so do pigs and swine. Rats and mice have made their choice, and so have I made mine. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank you. I just love that. This blew my mind when I heard that, because it's like, oh my gosh, I would not feel, would you feel safe? Do you feel safe around that element? I certainly don't. I wouldn't. But I want to wish each and every one of you the best day ever. And I hope you're doing very well during this Mercury retrograde. Please do me a favor again and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps me. And also hang in there, because YouTube has a video they think you might like. And I will see you again very, very soon with the next installment. Episode 33 is coming around the corner. Take care, everyone. Love to all. And I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.